maybe $75 because some people like to buy deluxe edition for the season pass, even though I don't know if anybody would still want to play this piece of shit game when DLC comes out. They ain't even fix the base game itself, right? So how much were we talking about? Kids are confused sometimes. Like I was 3 fucking years old and I was putting on my grandma's lipstick. Does that make me gay? No, it doesn't. Well, maybe a little bit back then when I was 3 years old. Maybe I was a little gay back then, but that's not the point, right? I did it. But like that don't make me no fucking, like transgender. That doesn't mean that I want to be a fucking girl. What is going on with Ubisoft again? News after news, man.
So it must be a day that ends in Y because we have another round of bad news for Ubisoft. We all know 2024 has been a nightmarish year for this company. They've had many AAA flops, and their prize of this year, Assassin's Creed Shadows, has been delayed to February of next year. And in this video, we're going to cover multiple topics involving Ubisoft, beginning with some very weird news, a new strategy reported by an insider at Ubisoft, where they claim the company is going to engage in some pretty deceptive practices aimed at misleading gamers about...
That's the funny thing, man. Ubisoft has always been doing deceptive. Well, not always, right? They used to make pretty good games, but nowadays they've been trying to use those deceptive stuff to get more sales, though it's not helping out.
The success of
numbers are not going up, man.
Games released at Ubisoft, and on top of that, we're gonna look at some news involving Assassin's Creed Shadows and the 12 or so gamers left who might be still interested in this company, and some bad news they might be facing about that release. Now let's look at the main headline, speaking generally about Ubisoft here. So from that Park Place, Ubisoft...
Oh yeah, Ubisoft did talk about wanting to maybe have Steam remove all of the concurrent player count for probably all their games. You can't just say like, oh, Star Wars Outlaws, because it is so bad. Oh, found it. Perfect. It's right here. Oh my god, only 1,400 people in game. Jesus Christ, this game came out like a month ago, maybe? Man, fuck, dude. Crazy.
Reportedly pressures Steam to get rid of concurrent player count after Star Wars Outlaws' disastrous debut. Now, that is a very deceptive practice, and one that really is only used as a shield to hide the fail.
Oh, they did also say that the reason why they want to do it was because they want to make their sales number and possibly their concurrent player numbers look better for investors and stakeholders, even though that all these data are fucking publicly searchable, and we can see that you build a shit game that nobody wants in the first place.
Failures of these gaming companies. Now, before we get into the details of this story, I have some very big news for you guys right here. We got a Black Friday merch drop with Uwu Market. 2 new items in my collection, and conveniently, it is a buy one get one.
Okay, so please don't buy shit like this, chat. Don't buy that. Do not buy that.
News for today. Here's the headline once again. Ubisoft reportedly pressures Steam.
But do watch the video.
Player count after Star Wars Outlaws' disastrous debut.
Oof.
Now, this is something that is, well, pretty expected from Ubisoft. This is a tactic that will be deceptive. It will mislead people about the current status of games because, let's face it, Steam numbers matter. It's a very important metric. It doesn't mean a game is good or bad in every single case. There's definitely some hidden gems out there or games that are overhyped. The numbers aren't always accurate, but they're pretty good.
When it comes to like selling a product, we're always talking about metrics, right? What metrics are we basing different products on, right? Certainly, concurrent player is going to be an important metrics when it comes to trying to figure out if a game is selling good or bad. But games with much lower budget is selling much more and having a much more concurrent player means that they're not meeting their metrics. They're not actually making their money back on this game, I think. That's fucking crazy.
Good. And
not making that money back.
About how it's being received. I mean, we've seen this.
Games like this also cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, chat. Imagine, chat.
With Veilguard. It's a very good metric to compare Veilguard to a similarly hyped up AAA release like Black Myth Wukong, and seeing the disparity there is something that is very important for a lot of people when considering whether or not to purchase that game. And as
also, depending on the size of your company, Ubisoft is a billion dollar fucking corporation, right? Considering that you're throwing $100 million into a game, selling 10,000 copies with like 1,000 people playing concurrently is kind of fucking bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You're not making your money back at all. You know, matter of fact is you're actually that's gonna be a huge loss on the balance sheet. Chat, you guys should start shorting Ubisoft tech or Ubisoft Entertainment, whatever their name is in your country. Start shorting their fucking stock. Not financial advice. Not financial advice.
The story was
Okay.
first broken by Phantom Pulse,
Fuck
citing
that.
an inside source close to Ubisoft that alleged that the company sees such a public display of its failures as embarrassing in front of both players and investors. Ubisoft and other companies want to pressure Steam to stop the tracker from giving out info they want to keep to themselves.
Right now, Ubisoft is still at that point where they're like, oh shit, I want you to stop saying bad things about me. At a certain point, they're going to say, fuck it, I'm going to hire somebody within our business department to help us actually fudge wording in order to make us sound better. That's going to be when the things get even more fucked up, right? When they start fabricating their own lies, which they already do when it comes to earnings every quarter. You know, they're like, oh, we don't talk about pre-order numbers for the Assassin's Creed. Obviously, nobody fucking bought the thing, even though it's available to pre-order.
Told Phantom
Also a thing.
Pulse. They want to be able to present findings to investors so they can make it sound good. In other words, Steam's transparency makes it difficult for Ubisoft to lie. I always thought this would happen eventually, where these big companies would try to go after Steam and some of the metric systems. And the fact that it's Ubisoft, not surprising at all.
Could they technically make profit from the game, but then lose it because it cost money to keep servers open and no one is playing? Usually that happens, right? That can happen. A lot of games die that way. Theoretically, if nobody plays the game anymore and it's supposed to be a live service game and nobody's buying anything from the game anymore, including like, you know, DLCs or skins, then nobody will be playing the game anymore, right? That's why live service game needs to keep pumping out content. And not just like shit content, like just like random shit. You need actual good content, right? People are nowadays, right? Even nowadays, people are looking at scopes, right? People saw Star Wars Outlaws and they compare it to a game from like 10 years ago that's made by Ubisoft, made by the same fucking publisher. And they see a huge drop off in quality outside of like, oh, you got better sprites. You know, you have better 3D modeling. Outside of that, the gameplay level is completely different, right? And that's why they're not selling their games, because technically there's no servers for this game, right? Like Star Wars Outlaw is technically a single player game, right? You don't really need a server for single player games, right? All they really need to do, this is like selling a movie, right? All they really need to do is really just fucking push it. Just don't fuck up a single player experience and just push a good narrative, a good story. That's it. And they can't even do that. That's the big problem.
Now, what's going on with...
And Ubisoft is going to lose a lot of money the upcoming, like, I don't know, 2 years. Because they said they're going to pump out, like, multiple AAA games. But there's absolutely no quality assurance behind any of those.
Star Wars Outlaws, well, in case you didn't know, they had a recent re-release of this game on Steam.
Re-release.
This was the first time this was available in this option. And the initial release of this game on your traditional consoles was 2 months ago, and as you can see, it's not going well on Steam. In fact, the overall release of this game hasn't even broken 2 million sales yet, which is a major disappointment.
No 2 million sales? Okay, chat. It's easy. It's simple. Do the math, right? Star Wars Outlaw budget, right? We look at the budget of the game, right? That would be one of our KPI. So apparently, it costs about $200 to $300 million to fucking make this game. I don't know where those fucking money went, but PoE, Path of Exile 2, that's coming out in a month. It's in early access. You got to pay $30 for it. But, you know, that game is fucking free. And it's got more scope, more in-depth scope in terms of gameplay and systems than these fucking $60, $70 games. It's insane. It's 200 million. And then also, they're saying that, oh, they did what? Maybe 2 million sales, 1.8 million sales. I'll give you an average of like 60, 70, maybe $75, because some people like to buy the Ultimate Edition. Some people might want to buy the Deluxe Edition for the Season Pass, even though I don't know if anybody would still want to play this piece of shit game when DLC comes out. They ain't even fix the base game itself, right? So how much are we talking about? So about 135 million, right? If they sold this many copies, right? And it's most likely going to be gearing more towards like $59.99. That was the price of the game anyway, right? So they definitely made a loss on this game, right? And I don't think they actually sold 2 million copies if only 1,700 fucking people are playing this game at any given time.
Disappointment for Ubisoft.
Sounds like bullshit.
And on top of that, you can see the Steam release. We actually reported on this the first day when the player count was around 1,500 after the first 24 hours. And I predicted it might crack 2K, which is pretty accurate because the all-time peak was 5 days ago at about 2,500 concurrent players. And again, that is a major disappointment. Not only is that a disappointment for this title generally, but also given the fact it released on Steam only 2 months after the release on the other consoles. And that is a big disappointment. There's no way they thought it would be this low.
And it's going to be like a combination of all of the console and different platform sales, right? So like $59.99 is being generous. This is the total revenue. They also have to pay vendors. They also have to pay, like 20% to Steam. Don't forget that. They have to pay 20% to fucking Steam. They don't have to pay that on their own platform, but then they're also selling on PlayStation. They're also selling on Xbox, Microsoft Store. And every single one of those stores is going to take a cut from you, right? Usually 15 to 20%, which means that 0.8, right? So we're already down, right? If we're talking about $100 to $200 million, you're already like 50% down, right? You're not making any money. You're losing 50% of your principal, the base money that you already put in. It's not good investment. That's why investors are saying like, bro, we're going to sell your shit, dude. You got to start fucking acting up.
They were preparing for this.
When Disney brought Star Wars, the franchise was ruined for me. Dude, that ass, not going to lie, you're right. Even this, like some of the Disney shit that they're doing, like fucking... A big thing a couple months ago was the Acolyte drama, right? People say the show was just completely horrendous. The power of one. The power of all. Or the other way around, I forgot, but like it's some stupid ass shit. And people didn't like it. It didn't receive, good enough critic scores, and it got canceled. And people now say that, oh, dude, we don't consider this to be fucking canon because like it's written by some bullshit people. I heard about that. Apparently it was some woke bullshit. It was some woke bullshit. I'm okay with being woke yourself, but don't push your agenda to other people. It feels like you're trying to push your ideology onto me, and then when you don't agree with me, you yell at me, and then you say that I am oppressing you when all I really want is finish my McDonald's fries. That's it. Come on, man. Like, just leave me alone to eat my fucking Big Mac. Stop talking to me about, trans right. I don't give a shit about that. If you want it, you can have it, right? Because it doesn't bother me. More rights to you, more power to you, right? But don't I'm not trying to oppress you, right? I never cared about you in the first place. If you want it, you can vote for it. If it shows up on a ballot, sure, why not? But then you also have to consider other people's feelings, That's it.
Game's release, especially on Steam, and this is an indication that a lot of people are not very invested in this game, and that's a bad look for Ubisoft, and I would get why they'd be so panicked by this, but in my humbled opinion here, I don't think there's going to be anything happening to these Steam charts. I think they're going to be around. The transparency is a great thing, and unfortunately for Ubisoft, it just exposes what's really going on, and not only are gamers pretty interested in these numbers, also investors who are very upset with Ubisoft over the past, not just this year, but last year as well.
That is correct.
Have been very disappointing financial results for 2 years running with Ubisoft. But let's move.
Ubisoft market cap probably liquidated a lot, Chad. Price. Stock. There you go. I'm with you. Sometimes I just want to watch some shit and turn my brain up and not have political views shoved down my throat. Exactly. And a lot of times it's geared towards little kids, right? They don't have the critical thinking to distinguish between like, oh, am I going through some troubles, or am I actually feeling like a girl or a boy when I'm, not born that way, right? Because like kids are confused sometimes. Like I was 3 fucking years old and I was putting on my grandma's lipstick. Does that make me gay? No, it doesn't. Well, maybe a little bit back then when I was 3 years old. Maybe I was a little gay back then, but that's not the point, right? I did it. I fucking put on lipstick, you know, like when I was 3 fucking years old. I asked my grandma, I was like, oh shit, can I try on the lipstick? And I was like, oh shit, this is kind of fun. But like that don't make me no fucking, you know, like transgender. That doesn't mean that I want to be a fucking girl. You know, it takes a little bit, but you start to realize that it's not the right way to live, right? It's, you know, you're born the way you are. You should accept the way that you are. Especially, let's be honest, man. I fucking love pussy, chat. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like as much as I want to put fucking lipsticks on, I love pussy too much, chat. I'm sorry. I was just being honest, chat. You know what I mean? That's just kids being kids. Exactly, right? Oh, shit, you know, like, I thought that looked cute or that looked better. I was fucking 5. I don't know if that's fucking gay or not. Okay, like, I'm not trying to be, like, rude to gay people, but, like, I don't know if that makes me look, you know, like, homosexual or not. Or if it makes me, you know, more feminine or not. You know, I didn't understand those concepts until somebody explained it to me, right? And, like, if I really had problems, I feel like we need to really dig deep into the base problems of like why the kid is saying that they're not who they are, instead of saying that, oh, we believe in you, you know, sure, here's some pills that's gonna, you know, make you grow boobs, and yeah, fuck you. You know, what's going on here? And not to mention like transgender kids, transgender people that actually went through some type of therapy, hormone therapy, or some type of surgery to alter their sex, have like a 40-50%, like almost 49-50% like suicide rate, right? I feel like kids just needs people to talk to, right? They just need to talk to more people, and then to realize that maybe it's something deeper. It's not that, oh, I want to be a girl. Maybe it's that, you know, like, oh, I just don't fit in. Where do I actually do?
Move on to Assassin's Creed.
Or like accepting who they are.
Shadows. This was a game that was set to release this year in November, but was delayed until February. They have been facing a mountain of controversy, and this is a good point made by Asmongold, responding to one of the articles we're going to quickly look at in a second, where he says people love to complain about Yasuke, but by the time this shit comes out, he's not even going to be in the top 10 problems this game has.
That is so fucking true, though. Like, people are talking about how, oh shit, Yasuke, the main character in Assassin's Creed Shadow, is gonna be black. At that point, it doesn't even fucking matter. The story doesn't even matter. Is the game even playable in the first place, right? Is the animation gonna be any good compared to the previous games that we've been talking about, right? Did you do anything to change it?
And I think that's a very fair point. I think Yasuke was the starting point for a lot of the controversy, especially given all the historical inaccuracies and the just ridiculous.
And you're right. You're right. Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think Yasuke is going to be black in Japan and also gay. So he's playing live on like extreme hard mode. I don't know what the fuck, dude. We're wondering what's going to happen. I personally think that it's going to tank even more. I don't know when Ubisoft's earnings call is going to be. I don't understand stocks too much. The only time I make money is by betting if the stock will go up or down, not investing in them, if that makes sense. Yeah, like buying options, right? So when you buy puts or like you buy calls, right? So right, if you're doing puts, then you're calling it going down. If you're buying calls, then it's going up, right? So that's what you're doing, options, right? But then options, usually you're calling for 100 stock. So you're calling for 100 bundled stock prices at the same time, right? And if it strikes, or if it gets close to striking your price, your contract is worth more. It's hard to explain, Chad. Like finance stuff is hard to explain.
Ridiculous stuff surrounding that, but there is a lot more going on fundamentally with this game and how Ubisoft is implementing it that I think are very, very concerning. I mean, there's been no hype surrounding the gameplay itself, and now there's also these extra factors that are being added in when it comes to how you're going to play this game. So let's look at this right here from Insider Gaming. Half of Assassin's Creed Shadows devs have never built a game before.
That's fucking crazy.
Yikes, dude. It doesn't really surprise anyone, but this headline is pretty worrisome. Okay, so think about this. Imagine going to a restaurant and ordering not just any expensive dish. You're getting that $130 Ultimate Edition meal. And the chef comes by, or the waiter comes by and says, just to let you know, half of the staff here has never cooked a meal before.
And they're still in training.
Enjoy. Yeah, that'd be pretty alarming, and that's the same case here with Assassin's Creed Shadows. If you read this article here, it says, in an appearance at the External Development Summit 2024, Assassin's Creed executive producer Mark Alexis Cote said, one of the things that I've noticed since the pandemic is that we have a lot of juniors in our teams. Probably half of the team that's building Assassin's Creed is building a game for the first time.
That is fucking crazy, dude. Half of the team that's building Assassin's Creed is building a game for the first time.
I've made this joke way too many times, but I'm going to say it again. They really need to hire their own secret service that just jumps onto microphones anytime these people...
They also need some type of internal investigation to help figure out what the fuck is going on when it comes to like people firing people, people hiring people, right? Like why are we firing the high performers? Why are we firing industry veterans so that they can start another business and compete with us? You know, when originally they were very content working here in the first place. And now we have half the team that's juniors that's never touched development in their life before.
People are about to do
right? And also, like, I was going to talk about it. So you're telling me math games has better devs than Ubisoft? Dead ass. Nowadays, honestly, if I'm being honest, like the game that I have on my phones, iOS games have better devs than fucking PC devs, if I'm being honest. PC devs is going downhill. Like all the big companies too, chat. Think about it, right? Like fucking right now we're talking about Ubisoft, one of the biggest, right? Still a public company, although they're thinking of selling, right? And then we got Blizzard. Blizzard is definitely fucking public. They bought Activision, right? But the fact is they're like not making any money. Well, I don't know if they're making any money. People say that actually Overwatch and Diablo 4 is a success for them. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is, but I really don't see how Diablo 4 is going to continue its services with only 7,000 people concurrent playing. And PoE is going to see a huge jump of player base also from Diablo 4, right?
Interview. The higher ups at Assassin's Creed Shadows as well as Ubisoft keep damaging the reputation and the excitement surrounding their games every time they speak publicly. It's just a disaster, whether they're contradicting one another or they're saying things that just are off-putting about their products. It keeps happening over and over again. If you don't believe the article, here's the actual interview from about a month ago. Let's listen to what he had to say.
That's
one
insane.
One of the things that I've noticed since the pandemic is that we have a lot of juniors in our teams, and I don't know if this is something that's your case as well, but the seniority has lowered globally, and probably half the team that's building an Assassin's Creed is building a game for the first time.
That's terrifying. Thanks for letting us know that basically your team is full of inexperienced people.
That's
crazy. That is not a very good sign for anyone interested in this game. Now, we're going to end this video with one more article here. The headline is Assassin's Creed Shadows to feature de novo as well as mandatory Ubisoft account.
Oh, that's going to fuck this game up. Nobody will play this game. A big part of the reason why people would buy your game sometimes is also because they want to maybe test it first, right? There's a reason why there's pirated version. Not a lot of people pirate their games, right? People say like about 3 to 6% of the player base actually pirate their games. But like it is still a player base that can potentially make you money. And those people technically never would have bought your game in the first place. That's the reason why they pirated in the first place.
Linking. Now that is something that is very worrisome to a lot of people. It's not exactly surprising that these two things are happening given the...
It's crazy, man. Break free from a year mark by financial setbacks and controversies.
The history of Ubisoft as well as Assassin's Creed titles, but it's still not a very welcomed one. So if you go down here, if you're any way familiar with PC gaming industry or have read the title of this article, then you're most likely already aware and guessed one of the caveats. And yes, the PC version of Assassin's Creed Shadows will feature de novo, a controversial DRM software detested by the community for negative...
Oh yeah, de novo, yeah.
Affecting loading times and frame rate in games, something their creator...
Yeah, this is not going to help, right? Firstly, now why this would be a disaster. Firstly, it's built by a bunch of people who have never built a game before, especially a AAA game, right? Junior devs. Secondly, they have Denuvo, which is going to fuck with the optimization of that base game, right? It already got like shit in engineers and shit code base, shit optimization. And then you add on a tool that literally makes your optimization even worse, Denuvo. Your game might not even be fucking playable on a 4090. Like, that's fucking insane, dude.
Urdetto categorically denies, blaming its low reputation on pirates and gamers, of course.
No. As I said, only 6%, only like maxed out 6% of the player base pirates games. And if those people were to pirate your games, they didn't want to buy it in the first place. You did not earn those revenue, and you will never earn those revenue unless they get to try your game in the first place. And if they try it, they like it, they usually buy it. And when I try a game that I like, I usually buy it, even if I pirated the game, right? That's just how it is, right? If I want to support the devs, I'll support the fucking devs, right? But Ubisoft, you guys are not
it's
people
now
that
just more than the gamers
are worth
destroying
supporting.
All these things, it's pirates as well. While Denuvo's presence in Shadows is not much of a surprise, considering it's been used in Ubisoft's previous games like Assassin's Creed Mirage, Star Wars Outlaws, the Far Cry series, and others, the decision to keep DRM could be seen as questionable given the growing trend of developers ditching it or choosing not to include it in the first place. And of course, Ubisoft has a very negative reputation right now, and why would they have to add these extra things in to piss people off even further? The second caveat relates to another requirement the community generally dislikes: the mandatory account linking to the studio's Ubisoft Connect platform when buying Assassin's Creed Shadows.
My God, they're doing the same thing that PlayStation is doing. Yeah, link your account, bro.
On Steam. Now, we saw this happen earlier this year with Helldivers 2, and that was an absolute PR nightmare, and it appears that Ubisoft hasn't learned anything from that situation, which was a disaster. People responded extremely negatively to that.
They're right. Helldivers 2 had the same exact thing happening. While I was playing that game too, I really, really liked Helldivers 2. If they didn't push it like this, I would have still played that game, man, if I'm being honest. It's still a successful game, though. Not gonna lie. They sold a lot of copies.
Let's finish off here. To top it all off, Shadows EULA also includes a provision that allows the game to monitor your PC's RAM to ensure you're not running any unauthorized programs like macros, cheats, or hacks. A well-intentioned clause that nonetheless feels a touch out of place in a single-player game and could potentially scare off some of the more suspicious players.
Are you fucking kidding me?
With their hardware being monitored.
No fucking way, dude. They're monitoring your hardware so you don't cheat in a single-player fucking game? Why do you fucking care, dude? What the hell is going on here, bro? Why do you care what I do with a game that I own that doesn't have any sort of connection or network to other people? What the hell is going on?
Two-factor system here forcing you to comply
That's
with
crazy.
These things, and that turns off a lot of gamers. That's not something that they are welcoming to, and just another bad look for Ubisoft.
No.
And again, with everything going on, Assassin's
Creed. And also, because they can monitor your PC hardware using this type of provision, right? Now that they can also gather information and data from your hardware usage and sell those, chat. They can sell your fucking data. Ubisoft can sell your fucking data by turning on this type of shit, chat. That's also a big fucking thing that they don't talk about here, right? Sure, oh yeah, I don't want my shit being monitored. Outside of being monitored, they're also recording your shit and selling it, because Ubisoft has already done it a couple months ago. I think they sold data.
Coming out in February is going to be an extremely interesting release.
It's the only thing that's keeping them afloat, if I'm being honest. They're going from a gaming company into a fucking data company. What the hell is going on?
A lot of people are predicting a massive failure. That makes sense. And also, it's really just how low is it going to go at this point? And every single time there's a news cycle involving this game, it's negative. Not even the shills who love Ubisoft and praise them constantly can come up with anything. They can't even cope anymore. They have nothing positive, no positive angles to go with involving this game or Ubisoft. But at this point, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys...
Well, that's crazy, chat. In case... All right, chat, I'm going to have to be fucking very, very honest with you guys. be very careful before you buy this game. Ubisoft has gone off the deep end, and they might start pulling some weird shit with the type of provision and the type of like terms and services that they're putting out right now, right? The fact that they can monitor your hardware and they don't tell you what they're going to do with the data that they're going to collect from your hardware, it's fucking insane. And even if they say that they're not going to do anything with your data, I don't think that they're fucking being truthful, because they've already sold data without consent, I think. Insane. Crazy shit. That's it for this, though. Price. Oh, by the way, we're telling people to short this stock. Let's see. What's going to be our strike price, chat? Let's make money together. Damn, they're not doing too well. They went from a $5... It went from $5, $4 average, maybe $4.50, all the way to $2.59. That was March 24. How did they fall so far from grace, chat? $5.77. 5 years ago, the tippy top was $20. Imagine you bought in at $20 and you're still holding. You're fucked, dude. You're fucked. Legit.